reports as yet. Please stand by for further details. We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
DANDADAN is a lot of fun. The anime is so vibrant, dynamic and beautiful that it makes writing about it actually really difficult. You don't need a guy on YouTube with overwrought purple prose to talk at you about how good this is. Even the most incurious curtains blue Philistine can just look at this and in an instant understand why it's such a phenomenon. But I'm nothing if not persistent, so Alonzi, you're watching. If you wanted to scout out the next upcoming manga superstar, really get to them before they became a big deal, you could do a lot worse than going into Tatsuki Fujimoto's studio and just picking a random assistant. Like Yuji Kaku, Tatsuya Endo, Toru Kuramori, and of course Yuki Nobutatsu. This is such an insane lineup of people to have worked under you. Like, this is 95 Chicago Bulls type shit. Can you imagine what it must have felt like being in that studio, dog? Just absolutely incredible lunchroom conversations, oh my god. The most interesting thing about this lineup is that every single one of these guys is a better draftsman than Fujimoto, and all of them went in completely different stylistic directions when their time to get serialized came, all thanks to Shihei Lin, theirs and Fujimoto's editor. In both cases for Tatsuya Endo and Yuki Nobutatsu, Lin refused any pitch that had anything grimdark or box-tickingly shonen about it. He knew they could both do something more them, so he pushed them in some really interesting places as a result. Spy Family is peak obviously, but that's not why we're here. DANDADAN came as a light bulb at the end of a long line of rejected battle manga pitches. Lin told Tatsuya to do something fun and not really overthink it. The man has a talent for bringing out the best in his artists. What he brought out of Fujimoto is an epic of humorous suffering and a tit-fueled search for desire. What he brought out of Tatsu was a bombastic intertextual ode to joy, something to lift his spirits after a long stream of failures, and what's more fun than a good conspiracy theory, or a ghost story, or better yet, both. And what if they were really horny? DANDADAN is a magic sci-fi rom-com about a guy who thinks Obama peels his skin off every night to reveal his reptilian flesh, and a girl who believes that there's a ghost that will eat your cock and balls if you're not fast enough. It's a classic bad bitch meets nerdy guy romance story that is made unique by the fact that they challenge each other to prove the other's beliefs wrong, only for both of them to end up getting got as a result. Ayase, the girl, her name is Ayase, ends up on an operating table in front of 3 aliens with mechanically menacing dicks, and Okarun gets his cock and balls stolen by a malevolent spirit. Okay, time out. It is worth pointing out that these were not a package deal. His cock went first, and then after he got it back, he lost his balls, and then he got possessed by the evil grandma spirit. Talk about being God's strongest soldier. In the process of fighting off Metal Dick, Ayase unlocks her latent spirit medium powers, the most important of which is being able to suppress possessions, and this way she forms a symbiotic relationship with Okarun, because if they separate, he grandmas out and she feels really bad, because she is directly responsible for his currently cockless balls and grandma-filled body. Spurred on by the pursuit of Okarun's genitalia, they go on increasingly escalating paranatural and paranormal adventures, sometimes one after the other, often at the same time. That's basically the premise. How's that for a concise plot summary, motherfucker? Don't you ever doubt me again. Hoorah! And it makes sense that it's conspiracy theories too, because they are inherently empowering by their very nature. There's a deep pleasure in learning about the lizard president, or that Tupac is teaching Maoist third worldism in Cuba. Hello, underground rapper RXK nephew. What are you doing here?
The government wrote the Bible. Go out like Kanye sacrificed my mama.
Thank you, Neff. Very cool. Even the darker conspiracies like Kanye sacrificing his mom, holy shit, or pizza-themed child-eating rings are still fun for the people who participate in them, because it pulls you out of your regular bitch-ass life and into one of great stakes and intrigue and simple all-encompassing evil. No matter how terrifying or evil that conspiracy is, it is still attractive to them because it fulfills that fantasy of them being the sole possessors of this secret forbidden knowledge. It makes them feel important, low-key.
And only me.
Only me.
I'm the only one.
I'm gonna be the one.
I caught on to it. They didn't know. Sheeple don't know.
You're all stupid. I'm a genius. I'm gonna save the world from chemtrails.
Thank you, boys. Okarun isn't into the hard stuff though. Most of the conspiracy shit he believes in is the light ones you'd see often in those trashy paranormal magazines. Ayase's relationship with the paranatural is a lot more personal, where Okarun's relationship with the extraterrestrial is an escapist fantasy born as a result of being socially ostracized. Ayase's is an interpersonal one with her strangely attractive grandmother, who despite her initial impression is an actual on-god spirit medium and seer of some kind. When Ayase was a child, her grandma taught her a way to repel evil spirits that she would do on her way to school, and by doing so she attracted the mockery of her classmates classmates, one of whom was a boy she really liked. Feeling rightfully embarrassed at this goofy shit, she lashed out at her grandma and told her that ghosts aren't real, damaging their relationship as a result. So her faith in ghosts is not just a faith in the supernatural, but rather a faith in the only person who has ever been there for her, expressed as faith in the supernatural. It's kind of the same way any modern superstition expresses itself in the younger generation. You don't believe in this because you have deep reverence for it really. You do it as a social behavior that you inherited from your parents, who you have deep reverence for. I'm reminded of that one Karl Marx quote I heard from the most beautiful woman I've ever met. The tradition of all the dead generation weighs like a nightmare on the brain of the living. Shame she was married. In DANDADAN, this weight of the dead manifests itself physically in the world of the living. Apparitions of old women who want their titties sucked, crab monster amalgamations made of dead girls, and literally the Loch Ness monster, all move in the shadows and prey on the souls and the cocks of the mortals who cross their path. But they also share these shadows with boxing aliens, flatwoods monsters, and humanoid steel cock alien men, and all of this is brought to life convincingly by Tatsu's precise and dynamic pen work. It's not very often you come across art that is both this dynamic and this clean, paired with a story that's this out there. Every character is drawn to be fun to look at. Pages flow with detail and it's never stagnant. You know this bitch is fast because the lines flow and she distorts to convey how fast she is. The delicate line work and how it dissipates into these kinetic short strokes reminds me of Witch Hat Atelier. Both have an ornate touch that goes a long way in establishing the vibes. But where Witch Hat traffics entirely in that beautiful storybook-like line aesthetic, DANDADAN uses it as a baseline that makes it more impactful when the characters start going off. And the anime realizes this perfect. I believe that any good adaptation of a work has to go beyond superficial mimic. It needs to understand the fundamental form of the source material, the thing that makes it tick. That way it can remove or add parts of it while maintaining and elevating the whole. It's like if the ship of Theseus had a soul. You can scrap parts of it, repurpose most of it in a way that the original shipmaker would have never intended, but as long as you keep that soul intact, you can make not only something that honors the source material but surpasses it. DANDADAN is an elevation of the source material in every way. It takes everything good about the manga and injects it with a vibrancy that you would only see flash occasionally in the color pages. Every supernatural happening in the show floods the screen with color. It's all very purposeful and beautiful. The music goes a long way in doing this too, and I'm not just talking about the scary testicles opening, although that is an absolute banger. These boys are rapping in pockets I did not think you could hit in Japanese. What I'm talking about is composer Kensuke Ushio, who made the soundtrack for the anime based on songs that didn't exist. This dude was sampling songs he created based on ideas of what horror movies sounded like, and commercials that he thought he had heard 20 years ago that actually didn't exist. And the result is so good, man. Just watch the Flatwoods monster fight back again and just listen to the way the music builds. It's excellent, it's so good. About 11 months ago I dropped a video about anime that was then coming out, and this one was on the cutting room floor, which is a terrible decision, I know. But I do remember the prevailing vibe of that section before cutting it, and it was this vibe of being, wow, these all look so good, I hope they don't suck, I really hope they don't fuck it. And man, a lot of that video has aged like milk. Like 246306 was right on the money. I have some thoughts about the nature and the magnitude of these failures, some of which I think I'll explore later, but like, I'm just glad this one turned out good. I'm just really glad, man. Erasing what I did opaque, be complacent as the wind, my brother like sunrise.